So, with the season almost over and basically Barcelona being 9 points clear, there's been a lot of talk of what has happened to Real Madrid in this season and last season. But in this video, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back in time to when my president, man like Joan Laporta, the best president in the world right now, the GOAT as far as presidency is concerned, right? He predicted, he forecast this Mbappe deal when it happened, because we all remember when Kylian Mbappe signed, right? There was a lot of buzz. Madrid fans were just double winners. They were thinking about the dream of Kylian Mbappe, what they could do in Europe, not to mention Bellingham and all those players. But unfortunately for Barca fans, and I guess for football, that did not happen, because 2 seasons now, and it looks like Real Madrid are going to go 2 seasons without winning a domestic trophy. This is beautiful to see. But as you guys can see, I'm not alone. I did bring a Madridista here. I'm sure he's not going to be biased in his opinion of this. But man like Football Carnage, my guy, every single time in the building. Yo, Will, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good, bro. Not football-wise. It's been an awful season. I'm ready for it to end. Excited for the summer window, but it is what it is. Big up, bro, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, man, I appreciate you for turning out. And make sure you listen. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to Football Carnage. Listen, if you're one of my subscribers, you're not subscribed to this guy, man, how fraudulent are you? Right? Come on. I know he's a Madridista fraud, man, but this is one of my closest guys in here, man. Obviously, you guys see me on his channel every Monday and Friday for the Football Chaos and on other streams and stuff. But listen, guys, I know right now he's moving humble, but he wasn't moving this humble, at the start of the season. And look, let's get straight into what my president said about your signing of last season, your star signing when he arrived. This is what the quote was, right? He was basically asked about the Mbappe deal, and he said, "I don't envy Real Madrid for Mbappe's new signing. This distorts the dressing room for sure. You have to sell players, don't you? Because they are not going to want to play in the same place." He told to Mundo Deportivo. Basically, in jest, he basically said, this was not going to be a good deal for y'all, right? He basically, put it out there that he thinks that this deal would disturb the peace at Real Madrid, right? And obviously, when he said this, Madrid fans they just kind of, just swept it under the rug as, he's just being salty, right? Real Madrid just won the double, and they've just signed Kylian Mbappe, the best striker in the world, and, best player in the world and all of that. But here we are, right? Within 2 seasons, right? This prediction for me is looking more and more realistic, because you think about the quotes that he just mentioned there about how it will affect the dressing room. So how players will be sold to basically, put more space to kind of give more comfortability for Kylian Mbappe, right? And this kind of, the issue that you guys have been seeing as far as, players playing other position, or basically how the squad and formation has had to basically change. And despite the fact that Kylian Mbappe's numbers has improved, a lot of players in the whole squad, you can see there's something different. There's the chemistry is not there, right? For you, Will, right? Listening to what Laporta said and what you've seen with your own 2 eyes, do you think that a lot of his quotes have kind of come into reality for you, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely right? I mean, like, when you look at how things have played out over 2 seasons, he's not necessarily wrong. I do think he's waffling, though, because, we have to be honest here, right? Mbappe leaving PSG as a free agent, every big club in the world would have signed him if he wanted to go there, right? Just worrying about his wages and a signing on bonus, but not having to give PSG 200 million, every club would have done it. But I think he was correct in terms of, Mbappe was just not the profile that Real Madrid needed. I was excited when he was coming in because I thought he would truly adjust to being the number 9. I thought he would settle in better. But Mbappe has not, right? Mbappe wants to operate everywhere on the pitch, and it just throws things off balance. I think this is the biggest issue that we have. He's a phenomenal player. Individually, he's amazing, but he's not good for your team. Look at how PSG have thrived. How many times in Mbappe's last season with Enrique was basically talking about how, he's a great player, but, I can't criticize him because he scores all the goals and things like that. It's like he's untouchable, and, basically he'd rather have three players that bag 10 goals than have one player that just bags 40, right? We saw the videos of Luis Enrique sitting down Mbappe, going through tactics with him to try and get him to press, to play as a team. Mbappe did not listen, right? Real Madrid won the UCL, won La Liga. Mbappe comes in, we've been a disaster. Mbappe leaves PSG, Luis Enrique fully controls everything, and now look at them, arguably the best team in the world, just won the UCL. They're in the semifinals once again, and they might win. They might defend their Champions League title. So, I mean, of course, you know, when you look at like all the common denominators, Mbappe is the one that stands out. So that's what it is.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because I always say this, right? For someone like me, who I don't really look at a lot of like stats to kind of base my opinion on a player, because you know what it is, right? Stats are misleading. Sometimes I will sit there and tell you, well, you've watched Ferran Torres at Barcelona. If I told you, yo, Ferran Torres has almost scored 20 goals this season, you'll be like, what? After what I've seen this season with my own two eyes, it's different. You feel me, right? Stats are very misleading. And sometimes when you look at Kylian Mbappe's numbers, it will tell you he's been carrying Real Madrid. That's what his numbers will show you, right? But I've always been someone, I'm like, well, listen, at the end of the day, you got to look at it this way. Like you just mentioned, the PSG point, I definitely agree with, right? He was basically carrying that PSG team for years. He was always the top goal scorer, always the main guy, but they never, ever got it done in the Champions League, right? They never got it done. And then he leaves. Ousmane Dembele, who, by all accounts, right? Remember, we saw him at Barcelona, right? The guy was nowhere near looking like Kade in Barcelona, right? They make him the main man. They make him the star of the team, right? They bring more, you know, they basically create this chemistry of like players of like Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, all these guys, Vitinha in the midfield with João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and all these guys. And that chemistry has basically created this monster that we're seeing right now. And I'm one of those people that I've been asked, if you put Mbappe back in this PSG team, would they still be as good as they are? I highly doubt it.
No. I don't even think that PSG would take Mbappe back.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they would take him back, bro. Because, I mean, they clearly do not need him, right? And I remember when Mbappe was at PSG, a lot of the conversation was how the project's failing. Like, yeah, they're dominating Ligue 1, but they also spend the most money. They have the highest wage bill, right? In Europe, they can't get it done. Dembele, flop at Barca, right? Guy, you know, hasn't really been able to live up to expectations. Nobody was talking about Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, Hakimi, Nuno Mendes, Donnarumma back then. Nobody was talking about these guys like how they're being spoken about at the current moment, right? Remember, a lot of the players that have, you know, won, a lot of the players that are arguably best in the world were there when Mbappe was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy could not work with Neymar and Messi, right? The guy couldn't work with Di Maria. Guy couldn't work with all these phenomenal players, right? It's everybody else's fault, right? But now he's not there. Everybody's thriving, right? Real Madrid fans talk about, oh, well, there's no Toni Kroos, as if it matters. Toni Kroos being here would not have made a difference because Mbappe still would be out of position. And if he didn't listen to Messi, what makes you think he's going to listen to a Toni Kroos, right? So, you know, like this is why I get the right? When people just strictly try and blame Vinicius, because Vinny's a player that has been able to work with everyone until Mbappe has turned up. Now, all of a sudden, right, Vinny can't work, right? Vinny's a bum. Vinny's a scrub, right? When Carlo talked about a week before we signed Mbappe, right, May 28th, right, 2024, 3 days before, or 3-4 days before the Champions League final, about a week before we brought Mbappe in officially. He talked about how he won the league because there's no egos, right? He said, Vinny, no ego. Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, no egos, right? They all play for each other. Now, all of a sudden, everybody has an ego problem. The dressing room is in disarray. People are blinded by the Pichichi. People are blinded by the Golden Boot. And people are not actually assessing how PSG have thrived since he's left and how Real Madrid have fallen.
Again, no, it's true.
Phenomenal individual player, but for your team, it just does not work. Mbappe cannot carry a team to win a UCL. I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you, Omar. I will be shocked if we win it if he's our main player.
I mean, look, that's the thing, isn't it? Because there is evidence of everything that you're saying. That's the thing. Because, like you mentioned, man, if we actually sit back and really assess the amount of great players this man has had in his arsenal, both for club and country, it is ridiculous. I don't think like you would even put like players like Messi and like Ronaldo and think of the great players that they played with, and you think about what Mbappe has had to play when you're like, bro, because you just mentioned it, right? Even with France, where people will always tell you, oh, but he got his France. Here's the thing. When France had that team in 2018, which was the primus of prime France, Mbappe was in that team, but Mbappe wasn't the guy.
Yeah, it was
Mbappe was
Griezmann
just
and
one of the
Pogba that
young
World Cup.
players who was coming up, right? That Pogba, Kante,
Pogba and Griezmann were phenomenal.
Yes, exactly, right? In the defense, like they were cooking midfield when they had Kante and Matuidi. Don't forget about Matuidi also, right? Giroud was playing like as the number 9, but that worked with him and Mbappe because Giroud wasn't a goal scorer, but he made space for Mbappe to work. But you remember when in that one tournament in the Euros in 2020, when they brought back Benzema back in that team, when Benzema was fired in at Real Madrid and was the main man, Benzema was cooking, but where was Mbappe in that tournament? People forget. I'm like, bro, people remember the miss against Switzerland in the penalty shootout. But I was telling people, I'm like, take that miss away. What else did he actually do in that tournament? Like, what did he do? Do you guys remember? Do you remember anything that he did in Euro 2020? No. But guess what? In the World Cup, he cooked in the World Cup. But then, remember, Benzema was supposed to be in the World Cup and he got injured.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Giroud was back in the squad. And now all of a sudden, Mbappe was carrying the team. So Mbappe was doing his job, doing all of that. But it's that thing that you just mentioned of the great players always know how to play with other great players. Okay? Cristiano Ronaldo, when they gave him Bale, when they gave him Rooney, Tevez, but when they gave him superstars, he always thrived. In fact, the team always did well. His numbers always did well, but the team also did well, right? When you guys had at BBC, right? What's his name? Benzema, Bale, and Ronaldo. You had 3 players out there who could all carry the teams, right? We saw all 3 of them carry teams. But guess what? Ronaldo was still putting more numbers than all of those guys, but those guys were also doing their job. Yep. You understand what I mean? And that is why, for me, I look at it and I'm like, well, listen, I can criticize Vinny for his performances in the last 2 years, but I will say this, though. This season, he's improved more than last season, right? And this season, especially in the Champions League, he's performed in the most important moments. Yes, you can look at the numbers and say, well, Mbappe scored more goals than him. Okay, how many of those were in the key games, in the games where it matters? You understand what I mean, right?
Yeah, I'll be real. Like, Omar, the only big game that I can say, and I'm talking about like against like a good team, not, against like lower teams in La Liga, but like El Clásico in October this season. Name me another game that we've won with Mbappe in the 11 that is against a very good team. I can't think of it. We beat Man City home and away. Mbappe, he came off the bench, I think, a couple times, but he wasn't starting. We beat Man City both games. Atletico Madrid, first time that we've beat them in La Liga in about 4 years. Mbappe did not start that game. Comes back international break, back in the 11. I've not won a game since. Yeah. I've not won it. I can't tell you the last time I seen Real Madrid win a game, Omar.
Was it obviously Atletico, wasn't it? In the league.
Yeah, no, it was against Atleti. That was the last game before the international break. Mm-hmm. He comes back into the 11. What have we done? Right now, this is not me saying that Mbappe is the only problem, because you look at Vinny, right? I think Mbappe's arrival has affected Vinny because you have a striker that's not playing as a striker, right? So if you're the left winger, but your striker is always running towards you and bringing the defense over to you, what are you supposed to do? But Vinny has regressed in terms of his finishing. It's been poor, bro. Like when Vinny is in goal-scoring opportunities, situations, he's not converting. He's not taking the most of it. That I cannot blame Mbappe for. So I'm not saying that Vinny has not also played at a high level, because he hasn't. But I just think Mbappe coming in was the wrong signing. Clearly, looking at it 2 years in now, if we had Harry Kane, I think we're in a much different situation.
Oh, nah. That is
remember, Carlo wanted Harry Kane.
That's what I'm saying. That is a scary property. Like, you remember, because I think was it this season after Benzema left that he wanted Kane because Kane
Yes,
had
Carlo
job Bayern
asked for
Munich.
Kane.
Yeah, bro, imagine that time.
Yeah,
bro.
Carlo asked for Kane.
That would
But
have been a scary
Perez
time.
still wanted Mbappe, so he signed
And I'm glad you brought up Mbappe Perez because it seems like it's Groundhog Day again, right? At Real Madrid. A lot of I would say the OGs, Real Madridistas, they're looking at what is happening right now and they're like, oh my God, this prick is actually doing it again. He's doing it again. He's doing this thing of superstar signings over signings that make sense. You understand what I mean? Right? Because for years now, for over a decade, yeah, you guys have signed or superstar here and there. But mainly when you guys have signed even superstars, they've made sense. When you guys spend 100 million on Bale, it makes sense because Bale was a winger. He was a right winger. You didn't, Di Maria was there, but Di Maria was not Bale. You understand what I mean, right? And Di Maria wasn't like a needle mover, right? So you could spend that amount of money and say, all right, cool, you're on that right-hand side. You understand what I mean, right? Even players like Cruz, like Modric, right? When you guys signed these guys, it made sense. You understand what I mean, right? Because these were positions where you guys actually needed players, not trying to just shoehorn players just because they're superstars, right? This Mbappe signing for me was the first time in years I've actually seen you guys sign a player where I'm like, do they really need this player? You understand what I mean? Because even the Bellingham signing, it makes sense because Bellingham was what? He was a 10. He was a midfielder. You understand what I mean, right? Cruz was retiring, right? So it made sense to be, all right, well, we're buying a midfielder to basically replace Cruz, even though he's not a Cruz profile. But then people could say, well, Omar Hosselu had just left. So it makes sense. But then I bring it back to, well, Mbappe is not really a number 9. Yeah, he plays in the middle, but he's not a 9 though. And this is why I always tell people, right? Don't always go for the fancy signing. Sign the players that make sense. This is the same thing I say to my own fan base. When people are like, oh, I'll go spend 120 on Alvarez. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, if we sign Alvarez for that money, basically,
I hope you sign Alvarez, by the way.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because
I hope that you do.
I've
you want to know why?
Alvarez in big games. I'll be very real, bro. Apart from the free kick he scored against both of our teams, and even in those games, he scored in those games. But really, what else did he do?
No. But do you know what the thing is about Alvarez, Omar? Forget just the big games. Alvarez is not a striker. This is the problem.
There you go. Thank you.
For me, Alvarez is more of a secondary striker, and he likes to drift
wide. He's a Griezmann kind of striker.
Exactly. So now, if you were to bring in Alvarez, and if you're going to play him as your primary number 9, you're going to be introduced to the Mbappe experience. Because now you're going to have a striker. Lamine Yamal is going to be cutting, baseline. He's going to be putting the ball into the box, and nobody will fucking be there. Hey, look, Ferran Torres has more striker instinct than Julian Alvarez, okay? Now, the Julian Alvarez is a very good footballer, right? I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not what Barcelona are looking for. That's why I said, Barca, they go drop 120 on Alvarez. I'm not scared. But Omar, let me tell you, you go get Victor Osimhen. I'm scared. Dude, you go get bro, if you go get just like an actual goal scorer up front. When's the last time Julian Alvarez rarely crashes the box, by the way? How many times does Yamal like to cross it in? Who's gonna be there? Right? This is why he needs a guy like Griezmann next to him. He needs a Sorloth next to him. He needs somebody else that can kind of occupy.
Muriqi this season scored 21 goals. I'm like, bro, I would take Muriqi literally over Alvarez if I'm going to be honest. Because
he's not the sexy name, Omar.
No, but that's the problem. People like the sexy name, bro. Mbappe sounds more appealing than a
Sorloth would cook at Barca, by the way. Here's the thing.
Look, here's the thing. I'm not saying he wouldn't score. But here's the thing, bro. We're trying to sign like a striker that can play in the 9. The problem with Sorloth is the guy. If you look at his stats, bro, he scored 10 goals this season, right? But brother, go look at his numbers, bro. He scored brace, hat-trick, hat-trick, 0 goals in 10 games. Bro, I get frustrated with Ferran Torres going in those kind of runs.
But I think if you had a Sorloth up front, because here's the thing, right?
As a backup, maybe.
It's like an Alvarez would be good for link-up play. He'll do, but in the final third, I think you'll be hurt a bit, right? For example, you sign Julian Alvarez, I think Rafinha will have more goals than him, right? I think maybe Yamal will be right where he is with goals because Julian Alvarez, right? He likes to be outside the box. He likes, like, he doesn't follow through. Like, I don't think he'd be a bad signing for Barca, but he won't live up to the price tag. It'll be like Griezmann, right? Griezmann was not bad for Barca. Like, Griezmann was not trash, but was he worth 140 million? No, he flopped, right? That's kind of how I view it with Julian Alvarez. See, Sorloth, right? Barca don't need their striker to link-up play. You just need somebody that's going to be in that box when your wingers get it, when Pedro's looking to play it into. And I think Sorloth, I'm telling you, bro, for 35 million release clause, bro, that would be the striker that I'm going for.
If it's a backup, if we sign a striker and we get like a Sorloth.
Imagine you get Victor Osimhen and Sorloth.
Yeah.
That would cost, I think, like, Osimhen would probably cost like 80 to 90 because Galatasaray just signed him for like 70. So he'd be about 80, 90 million. And then Sorloth for 35 M's. That's around as much as you'd be paying for one of Julian Alvarez.
And that would be smart, isn't it? Like, people would not like it, but dude, that is so smart because you just signed 2 strikers. If Lewandowski and Ferran both leave, you just replace Lewandowski and Ferran with Osimhen and Sorloth. It doesn't sound appealing. You're like, well, you just signed one of the best greatest strikers of all time and a great backup striker and a great striker in his moments, like Ferran Torres, with Sorloth, and it's not appealing to many people. And I'm like, bro, this is the problem. Barcelona, right? In my lifetime, the scariest Barca I've seen, right? We don't sign superstars. Like when we signed Eto'o was a good player in Mallorca, but outside of Spain, nobody knew who Eto'o was. But when Eto'o joined Barcelona, everybody knew who he was, all right? Because he came in and started cooking. You understand what I mean, right? That's the thing. Make the smart signing. Make the signing that makes sense. You understand what I mean? But look, finally, let me just say this. The title race, right? 9 points clear, right? Basically, it's looking home and dry. But here's the thing, though, Will. If you look at Barcelona's runs, we still have to go away to Getafe. I mean, you guys have lost to Getafe. You know how they are stingy in the back, right? Osasuna, we have to play away. Last season, they battered us in their stadium, if you remember, right? And you guys lost there like a few weeks ago, right? These are all places that we're supposed to go. And then there's the big game against you guys at the Camp Nou, right? Do you believe that if we drop points, do you still trust your team to be able to take it all the way to when we play you? Or you just think that it's just done? The players have given up?
No, because you will drop points. And guess what we're going to do? Drop points as well. Yeah. La Liga is over. By the time we get to the El Clásico, I don't really think it's going to matter as much, right? You know, it'll just be a El Clásico that we have to win for pride. Like, that's just what it is, right? But by the time we get there, bro, I think Barca, minimum, you're 5 points ahead of us. Hypothetically, let's say we beat you in that El Clásico. We're still going to have to play catch up. We're still going to need you to maybe lose another game or two. And the odds are it's not going to happen, right? 9-point gap, that's 3 games clear. You see, so this means that Barca have breathing room for 3 games out of what? 7 or 8? So do I expect Barca to lose 5-6 games? No. And do I expect us to win every single match from now until the end? No. So La Liga's over, bro. And to be fair, we don't deserve to win it because we've had plenty of chances to where we controlled our own fate and we bottled it, right? Beginning of the season. Remember, we drew those 3 straight games. Rayo Vallecano, Girona, I forget who else. Elche as well.
Elche, Rayo, and
That's when we bottled La Liga the first time, right? Barca overtake us. Then we have a couple months ago, right? You lose to Girona.
Sociedad.
You lose, right?
Girona and Sociedad.
Girona. We're top of the league. We lose our very next game, right? You lose to Getafe at home. You lose to Osasuna. See, things like this are unacceptable. So as much as I would like to say that, Real Madrid can do something, this team have shown us that this season, they're not on it, right? So that's why I'm looking forward to what we do next season, right? Who the new, if there's a new manager possibly, who's leaving, who's coming in. This is what excites me. I didn't even drop a match preview, brother. We have a game on Tuesday. I usually drop match previews.
You can't be asked anymore.
Damn. 2 days before every game, I drop a match preview. For the game against Girona, I didn't drop a match preview. for the match that we have coming up. I don't even know who we're playing, brother. I don't care. I'm not dropping a match.
You've clocked out for the season.
I've clocked out, bro. I just
I hear that. I've been there. I'm not gonna lie.
I just want to see the young players, and however else, like we play, it's cool. But it's whatever, bro. Like I already accepted our fate, bro. Like I just know what's gonna happen. So
all right. I mean, listen, guys. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Football Carnage, guys. Listen, if you guys want to get more of this Madrid stuff, and listen, right now football is beautiful, man. It's depressing out there in Madrid. If you guys want to just be entertained, go and subscribe to man like Will, man. Make sure you guys listen. He's a huge supporter, guys. You guys know him, guys. He's a huge supporter of my channel, guys. Right? He's always out here showing love. So make sure you guys go to his channel and show him some love. And listen, guys, make sure that when Madrid lose again, do not forget, just go to Football Carnage and just remind him that, it's lonely at the top. All that. But yeah, man, big up to every single one of you guys. This has been yet another episode of the Rival Talk, guys. Big up to every single one of you. Pesca Barca. Take care.